having both heat and cold, having both wet and dry, and through heat and cold and wet and dry, all things can be created. Okay? This is the knowledge. So now, as we're seeing this and we're warming up into this, we now have so there is a link here. Oh, yeah, I guess this is important. I was like, I don't know if this is important. Yeah, it's very important. It's actually really important. So here's what happens then, because obviously some people are not feeling really godlike right now. Some may be feeling a little depressed. Why? Because remember when I told you, like, the bullies or the bullel only has an interest in either shutting down the whole changing component, raising Kundalini, reproduction, right? This is why you get Jesuit orders, because they serve bullel, okay? They pass papal bulls and decrees to make things shut down, to separate. You see what I mean? They create the separation. So because you know that, you have to realize what is happening on the astral plane, though, and that's actually put into an image in ancient Sumerian, and what it shows is a being known as the Mahusu. I know. The Mahusu, which actually where Moses gets his name from. Okay? Now we know Moses is also a savior, right? And we know savior is Thoth, and Thoth is none other than the human being as God, right? The God man, the son of God, if you may. And now you'll notice here that some of the bulls are riding on Mashushu. And what this means is this means that gods actually ride human beings in a variety of ways. This doesn't mean that this is negative. It doesn't mean that this is positive. It means that this is something that goes on. You'll see beings being ridden by gods, meaning that you will have other life forms from different spaces. Let me just get my stuff together over here. Let me close some windows down. You'll see other life forms from other spaces riding on human beings. Some people can call that possession. And remember, some people call that walk-ins. And not all of these are positive and not all of these are negative, but they do happen. And it's shown in Sumerian text that humans basically, or Mashushus, were being ridden around by the gods all the time, probably as a way for them to be able to get into this space. So it's like people become filled with the God. So this is a revelation that came to my awareness after realizing that these are more ancient or archaic forms of the caduceus, also known as, I believe, it's the acroion, right? So every culture has this symbol, but the most ancient one is this one. And that being there, or one of the most ancient ones is this one, and that being there is called the Mashushu. And so after reading through this, I was able to gather very clearly that because this is a chimera, it is symbolic to the four elements of the human being. This is why it says that it has a lion-like forelimb. It has eagle. It has this snake. And even in other texts, it breaks it down identical to the four elements because it's a reference to the human being. And as it keeps going on, it starts to talk about this reddish snake or fierce snake, right? And as it keeps going on, it starts basically explaining that this fierce snake is the serpent of splendor, or basically a healing and ruling serpent. And nothing else fits this description than Kundalini. as you keep reading through this, and then you realize that even the gods, if you're not taking it in a dualistic way only, the gods riding on Kundalini is even meaning to say that they have activated in certain ways Kundalini, and Kundalini is what you're riding on as a god. So what this is saying in so many words is that because you can't necessarily put yourself in the story, you are the story. You are every character in the story. So there's a part of you that basically rides on yourself like a dragon. So you ride Kundalini or you get eaten by it. There's only two ways to go with it. Okay? So we find here that this power and this presence has been throughout ages, showing that, yes, people revered the serpent and saw it as a symbol of healing, as Moses rose the Nehushtan in front of all the people to cure them from the poisonous snakes. Now, it's interesting here because it tells you, that's how I said before, to assume that all snakes are bad is just as silly as assuming that all humans are good. Because it's diverse. As in the Arabic text, it talks about the jinn and the zayrin, and it says that they have many of the traits and the ways of us, but in many ways they're different. In the books of Kim, it says that when a person dies, their soul or what rises from them is likened unto a serpent or a snake. And that many of the serpents that are still within the astral plane are that. Basically beings that have died and have yet to take on a body. But it would, it sometimes doesn't make sense to many of us to understand that not only does the pineal gland calcify into a crystal, but so too that the spine of a human being is none other than a replica of the same spine through the serpent. But it is only the woman that we see at times that's able to move like that. Because the masculine part of us has more of that straight line. And have you ever seen somebody super masculine trying to dance? Versus someone super feminine, boy, like mesmerizing. Literally, mesmer. Hypnosis. Hips in hypnosis. Okay? Like you won't ever be able to make the truth up. It will just be. And you either accept it or you war with yourself, right? What we're at is we're reaching immortalis. This is 8th degree. We don't have any time to waste. Time for us is very valuable. It is as valuable as gold or the highest things in this space. And so we've decided to take this time to enlighten ourselves about who we are.